This is the Agency Balance Podcast, where we talk about agency life, client relationships, and your own personal balance. Agency Balance is sponsored by SmartAcre. SmartAcre helps you automate, enhance, and accelerate your B2B marketing. Visit GetSmartAcre.com to get your free marketing and sales assessment.
Here are your co-hosts of the Agency Balance Podcast, David Snyder.
And I'm Lisa Zwickel.
So I'm driving into the office this morning, getting ready to do this podcast, and a song came on by George Strait, of all people. Do you know who that is?
I do.
Okay, good. So if you don't know who George is, look him up. He's a country music legend. Yeah, and I've gotten into country later in life. I used to hate it as a kid, but not like 90s country, like more of the new country's not even country anymore. I can't play you the song. I can't play the song because it's right. But the song is called Check Yes or No. Check yes or no. It's all about that. And I thought about that, and I'm like, it's kind of interesting because it made me think about our conversation today. Welcome to another episode of the Agency Balance Podcast. I'm here with Jason Causa, founding partner at Reviews Up. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
You brought me a little present here.
I did.
It's all about reviews today. And before we get into that, what would be your walk-up song, or like a song that would represent you? And when we're talking about reviews, I'm gonna place him here today.
Probably I'll go with the Elvis Presley. You put me on the spot, but I'll go with the Elvis classic, A Little Less Conversation, a little more action. How about that?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. This is all gonna make sense, I promise. It's the anticipation and build-up.
That wasn't planned, by the way. I just spitballed that one out.
I like to at least have it, somewhat unscripted here. So that's cool. Yeah, no, that's a really, really good one. So you have a lot of things going on. We met probably about a year or so ago. But today we're going to talk about Reviews Up. So Reviews Up is an experience platform that helps businesses quickly build prestige, manage their customer sentiment, and promote reputation using simple tools like automation, AI. Oh, big shocker, AI. Their technology drives compliant public and private feedback, which we're going to talk about, while boosting brand trust and company relevance. And the other key word that I wanted to use is, reputation, right? That keyword of reputation, and we're going to talk about that. So, Jason, a little bit about yourself and why the heck should anybody be caring about reviews?
Well, that's a long. How much time do we have? A bit about me is I'm a partner in a digital marketing company and have been for quite a while, and we did a lot of digital marketing, traditional marketing for businesses. And one thing that we realized over a period of time is that when we took a deep dive into the analytics and all the metrics of what we were doing and the impact that it was having, is we were seeing a trend. And we were seeing, good traffic and all delivery things that you would expect from campaigns that you spend a lot of time on. But then we weren't seeing the right amount of, I guess you would say, conversion or correlation between our ad impact and the results, for the client that they really care about. So when we got into it, we really noticed that the common theme was the businesses that we were trying to help were really suffering because they had a poor reputation, right? So, you can create curiosity with brilliant ads and clever creative, but then at the end of the day, all that ad traffic is going to look you up, right? And what are they going to find? They're going to see, laid bare, your reputation, how you treat your customers, all of that. So what we did is we invested a lot of resources from our own staff and our own, development department, and we focused on helping our clients just kind of for our own private needs, helping them improve reputation. And what we saw was an almost immediate impact, positive impact on the ad results, right? So all of those objectives that you try to hit when you start a campaign, right? Are we getting traffic? Yeah. Are we getting conversions? Yeah. Are we getting more referral business? Yeah. All of the things that really help businesses thrive, we were seeing a big uptick, right? So then it was like kind of a pivotal moment for us. And we decided to really invest heavily in our development of our own reputation platform. So There were a few out there, and there are many out there that you can do, but ours was really geared toward making it very, very easy for the customers, right? So easy on both sides, right? Easy for the client to manage, and easy for the customers to engage, right? And the employees. And the platform really has, evolved over, I'd say a period of almost 10 years now. And we've seen, tremendous innovation. Obviously AI has become a big part of what we do, but we've really identified a couple of industries where, trust and reputation and brand management is so critical. A lot of industries, highly regulated industries, things like finance and banking and medical and all of that, where people have a better sense of trust, like they know what they can expect before they do business with you, right? And that's a really big thing. If they have a good feeling at their core about, I can trust these guys, right? That's it. So that's what reputation is all about, our philosophy, and that's what Reviews Up is designed to do.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm a platform user. I use it. We use it for our clients. So immediately, check it out. We'll link everything up in the description to get you linked over. It's reviewsup.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So check it out right away if you're listening to this. But so here's the thing, right? I was thinking about this. Is like, all right, I'm a service business company. Well, why should I care about it? I get it if you're, a plumber or an electrician or something like that, where your business is like solely based on reviews. But it's more than that, right? It's become so important no matter what type of business you're in. So maybe let's talk about like the Google effect.
Sure.
I think let's break that down there, because I know you have a lot of great insights on this. So I'm going to shut up now. Talk to me about like the Google effect that reviews have.
Yeah, it's a big one, right? And Google, is where the rubber meets the road. All of your great marketing campaigns. I used in a presentation the other day. All roads lead to Rome, but all ads lead to Google, and they really do, right? Whether it's a broadcast ad, a digital ad, a billboard you drive by. What you're gonna. I mean, you sit in front of the television now, and you have a 2 or 3 devices half the time, right? And there's QR codes all over every ad. So the experience needs to be, really kind of seamless between your advertising message and your business reputation. And why that matters is because Google is really trying to optimize their platform for customer experience. They want to send people to businesses that are highly reviewed and they're more relevant. So just their most recent AI overview, which was the big core update back in late November and early December that is making reviews, reputation, some of the most important content that you could possibly put on your site. So for instance, in just a few years ago, it was very important for SEO strategies to put blog content and stuff that was dynamically changing and all that. So now that stuff is still important, but not as important as the online reputation. And this is not just from Google's own platform. They're drawing in reputation from other sources, right? Other platforms that are out there. And then when they see this content on your own website, it builds so much relevance that it's driving search results, right? Organic and map views and all the things that you don't even have to pay for. They're showing up. Your ads will cost less. They'll have better position. So it's a massive impact for agencies who are working with clients and trying to optimize, ad deliverables.
All right. I've come to at this point of the listening, and I'm like, all right, I got to do something about this. It's never too late, right?
No.
It's never too late. It's that tree thing. I was on that was on the last episode. Jonathan was talking about that. He's like, the best day to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best is today. It's the same type of thing. Well, you got to start somewhere with your reviews. So obviously Google's smart enough. You can't like stuff them. You can't fake it. They'll take them down. You can't bribe people either, right? No. This is regulated. That's how
it's highly regulated. Yeah.
Which I didn't even know about.
Yeah. So Google has very strict policies, and we can link to the description and the policies in the information, but you're not allowed to pay for influence, right? So that would be have to be disclosed. So you're not allowed to get reviews through nebulous circumstances. You're not allowed to pay people. If you're gathering them all from like the same IP address, it's going to look highly suspicious. If you get like 20 or 30 that come in a big batch, I wouldn't recommend that. But the federal government is involved in reviews, right? So the FTC and the CFPB, these are these are big government watchdogs that are looking into these things because they know how impactful and influential it is on marketing overall. So yeah, you want to make sure you have a fully compliant strategy. Obviously, the industries have their own compliance, right? So there's HIPAA, right, with medical, and there's SEC with financial planners and banks and things like that. So these are all things that you want to be mindful of for compliance reasons, right? But if you have a good, effective strategy and you're working with a tech partner, it can actually put you in a favorable position if your industry is regulated and audited regularly. So yeah, there's a lot to know. So I would definitely recommend to anyone watching that they do their homework and maybe find a partner that can get a good handle on all this.
So how does somebody that's struggling with getting reviews, some examples or tactics that you have, some recommendations that you've seen work really well to try to acquire net new reviews? Like, what are some ideas that you have?
Yeah, make it easy. Number one, like that's the most important thing is that, if you just casually say, hey, would you leave us a review, right? Chances are very low that someone will remember and then, go home and do a review. So you're seeing, obviously more and more businesses, small businesses, they'll have touch points in the restaurants and, at the cash registers, point of sale, that sort of thing, where you can simply, like NFC chips are in everything now, where you can tap it or scan, right? It'll take you to, leave a review. In most cases, it's just taking you to a Google page where it opens a little script and then you can just leave a review. But the best ones are the ones that give you options to leave reviews on multiple platforms. This is a little known fact. I mean, Google, there's about 40% penetration for Google accounts of all users, internet users in the US, right? A big number, massive number. But think of it, the other side of that, 60% do not have a Google account, right? So if you're only asking people to leave you a Google review, you're potentially leaving 60% of highly relevant, valuable feedback on the table, right? So it's really smart to have another pathway for your customers to choose another option, because if they just open a prompt and it just says Google and they, geez, I don't have a Google account, I guess you're out of luck. But if you give them a choice where they can choose Google or another channel, an independent channel like ours, or even Facebook or Yelp or something like that, at least you are increasing your odds of getting public feedback that will power Google's AI overview. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a Google review. I mean, although that is the most important, but there are other really good ways to do it.
Yeah. So everyone's always striving for a 5-star review, but that's not always the case. 2-part question. One, what should someone be, if you're a business, what should you be aiming for if it's not perfection? Like, what is kind of like you should maintain something? Because let's face it, we are all humans and we do make some mistakes sometimes. Sure. So sometimes, and I guess maybe this is I'm trying to peel back the onion. All right, let's take the first question. So what should they be striving for as kind of like the standard? Is it a 4? Is it a 5?
This is our kind of best practice, and it rhymes. It's easy to remember. Strive for 4.5. 4.5. That's kind of the mental, area where somebody perceives you as being highly rated, right? 5 is extremely unlikely, and it actually comes off as being artificial. Yes. Right. So 5 can be attainable in a couple of ways. If you have a very low volume, right? If you have 3 reviews, pretty easy to get a 5, right? If you've got 100 reviews, very unlikely that you would have a 5. And if you did, right, tweak the eyebrow a little bit, like, oh, this looks a little fishy, right? Having negative reviews, most of us probably shop on Amazon, right? So this is a good example. So Amazon, in the olden days, as a couple of years ago, they used to, default the search results by, you could pay for position, right? So what they found is that the Amazon Choice badge, which is community sentiment, like that's what people think about your stuff, it sells 30% more, that little badge, right? And it's because of trust. And it's funny, if you read the reviews like most of us do, most of us don't read the good reviews, right? Like you want to read the poor ones, right? I want to buy something and I immediately go to the 1 stars and see, and a lot of it is just because you want to see, sometimes you buy something and it'll be 1 star and it'll say the package was damaged and, they threw the box in a puddle or something. And you're like, all right, well, that doesn't really apply to the product, so I'm not going to hold that against them. So if you see a bunch of that, it's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about that. But if you see like a lot of like, this thing was junk, it broke, it was, didn't do what I wanted it to do, and then you're like, all right, well, I'm probably not buying that. Right. So I mean, obviously for a retailer, if you are pushing your highly rated products, what you'll see is that you'll get, fewer returns, right? Better satisfaction overall, more likely to buy additional things from you because of that trust, and more likely to refer. So all very, very positive if you lead with your highest raters, right? Most e-commerce sites will say, sort by bestsellers, right? Because they know that they're going to be happy with that purchase, and then it'll lead to future purchases.
Yeah, and I sort by not only one, but I also sort by photos. So somebody that contributes a photo.
Yeah, it's a lot more relevant, sure.
Yeah, because I want to see it. I want to see what it actually looks like out of it. And it's obviously really, really important for products, but I think it's getting to be more and more service driven, because over the last couple of years, more and more buyers out there, even when they're acquiring a service, they want to do all of their homework themselves and make up their own decision, and they don't want to be filling out forms. They don't want to be doing their own, evaluation. Their mind is almost kind of made up, and then once they've come to you, they're really just looking for a few answers to questions, right? To get answered. So what if someone does leave a really bad review? Like what best practices do you have? I assume it's good to respond, but like, do you have any, and does the platform help you do that as well?
It does, right? So it's funny because we built over the course of our development, we noticed that it was common for customers, that our customers for the reputation platform were responding, eagerly to good reviews, but then they weren't responding to the negative ones, right? And we noticed kind of a pattern there, and started reaching out, and we were asking questions like, we notice you're not responding. Why is that? And the most common answer was, I don't know what to say. Because we've all seen businesses respond, let's just say, more aggressively than they should, right? And that's an easy reaction. If somebody, you think of it, a negative review is somebody's insulting you, in some cases attacking you, right? Calling you terrible names and, making accusations. So it's really easy for you to just go down a dark path and be like, screw you. And that's not wise for many reasons, right? Because how you act in that situation is very revealing, about you and how you treat your customers. So we always like to say, respond quickly, promptly, right? Imagine this is the virtual world we're talking about. If somebody walked into a showroom and started screaming, "You guys suck," and you would handle that quickly, right? You'd be like, "Oh, hey, let's take this over here and have a discussion." But yet they don't do it online. They just kind of stick their head in the sand, and it's just like, "Oh, everything's fine. We'll just ignore what that person said." So I'd say, to your question would be, respond quickly and respond tactfully. And it's fair to challenge a review if you know it's false, right? So a couple of ways that you can do that. Like, if this is a disgruntled former employee, pretending to be a customer, or if this is a competitor, right, trying to be a customer, you can obviously, there is a resolution process within the Google platform and others where you can report it. But there's no guarantee that'll be taken down, right? So you do those things. But address it, and basically, if it's false, but say, hey, sorry about this, but we have no record of you being a customer. Everyone's seeing that. It's like, all right, well, they responded, they took it seriously, and it probably wasn't real or authentic. But if it is real, it's totally fine to say publicly, look, hey, we are terribly sorry about the situation. We'd love to make it right. Please reach out, or we'll reach out and offer some kind of a resolution. Because another benefit of responding to negative reviews is what we found is that people that leave negative reviews organically, they just tend to be very passionate people, right? They just want to be heard. And 9 times out of 10, they just want to be heard and feel empowered, like, oh, I got something for, being the squeaky wheel, I got the grease, right? So if you have those customers, look, sometimes they're completely irrational, and it's going to happen. But in most cases, you can flip them, right? somebody was upset about some delivery or whatever, invite them back, make it right, offer them something that makes them happy, and then immediately follow up with an invitation for them to edit the review, right? Our platform makes it very easy. So if you see a bad review, you can invite the person, get resolution, and then quickly send them a text or an email where they can, in one click, edit the review. So not only did you erase the bad ones, essentially, you've replaced it with a very positive one, and they will become evangelists for you once you've made it right by them. So that's a very important lesson to be learned with dealing with negative reviews.
Yeah. I'm going to throw you a curveball. This is something we haven't talked about at all, but it has come up in the last 2 weeks. I've seen this happen twice now. Nothing like related to us, but I actually felt horrible when I saw this. So someone leaving a review in a private group. So specifically a Facebook group. There was an instance where I've seen this happen twice. One was someone in like a local city group, like your town has their own Facebook group. So like what's happening in the town? Somebody just came on there and just totally lit up a restaurant and like called out every little stinking thing to kind of like flame them. And most people in the comments were like, whoa, like what, chill. Like some of what you're saying is like, that's everywhere. And then other stuff, it was factual. And the other example was, a situation where, someone, there was like a personal attack. Like I'm not sharing any details because I don't, but it was like a personal attack. I mean, is there anything you can do about that?
So technically that's not a review, right? So it's just slander at that point, right? Yeah. Someone's in a public space and they're slandering you or just attacking you. The best ways to diffuse those, certainly don't engage and feed the trolls, right? Always, if you feel compelled to defend yourself in a space like that, I would just say, hey, obviously you've got some misunderstandings. I'd be happy to discuss this with you offline. Let's connect. Yeah. And that's it. That's the end of it, right? And then they can go back and forth. And then they look like the crazy person. You look like the responsible person. So it's a good way to, do a little bit of, I don't want to say damage control because it might not even be actual damage, it's just someone's opinion of you. But yeah, not really a review, but still just a good advice for how to handle that. Yeah. Always try to take those things offline and don't engage where it's just kind of just rehashes the entire, argument.
But I think either way, whether if it's in a private setting or a public setting, obviously people are engaging with them. There's relevancy to algorithms out there, and it weights your reputation, and obviously it can really hurt. It can really hurt a company. It also can help. You were touching on something before that I wanted to just dig into. So we've been talking. So we just talked about public and private. What about internal? Like getting feedback internally if you're a company and you're looking to grow, or you're looking to add, new positions, careers. Talk about the importance of that. Yeah,
that's a big one, right? So vast majority of customers that we deal with do not have any strategy or policy for trying to get employee reviews, right? And the benefit of asking your employees to give reviews is twofold, really. Obviously, if you are hearing, and most of the platforms out there, that's completely anonymous, right? So like the big ones, Indeed and Glassdoor, you can review your employer, and there will be verification things to make sure you're an actual employee, but there's never any identity exposed, right? So you don't have to worry about any fallout from like a review. Obviously, if I'm an employer, it's helpful for me to know what my employees are thinking, right? So I can maybe address some areas that I wasn't aware of, So it's always helpful, and we always encourage people, to ask for that constantly, right? Any opportunity to improve is good. But also it's very helpful for you when you're going to try to hire or recruit, right? So on all the big, platforms that are out there, if you think of, big places, online boards and things like Indeed or whatever's, somebody searching for a job in a particular field, and they're going to see all of these businesses that are looking to hire, talent, and you're competing in that space, right? So you're against all of your other competitors that are trying to attract the best and brightest. So if you don't have a good employee strategy, or if you're just, kind of a crummy employer, or just haven't put any effort forth, that's going to hurt you, right? So that's going to be, a negative against you when if other people in your field do have a plan and they are, doing a good job of managing these platforms and getting a lot of employee feedback, and if it's mostly positive, they're going to have an edge over you, right? So in your recruiting efforts, you may not even get a chance to swing the bat, right, for interviews or anything. They might just dismiss you at face value. So yeah, you definitely want to give your employees every chance to give you meaningful feedback and tell you what they think. Use it as a chance to improve, and it'll help you, attract more talent as well.
Yeah, I can imagine like doing some small surveys if you're not doing any type of survey, like not even like customer sat, like just internal satisfaction surveys. Yeah, building some small ones out.
So one of the things that we do, and one of the newer features of our platform is that we can build out. We're actually going to roll this out and kind of brand it. It's going to be called our 1 minute survey, right? So that's a big one. Is that most surveys are not completed because the anticipation is that it's going to take more time than I want to give it, right? It's just, we've all done the surveys where you answer okay, reluctantly I'll do it. You answer the first question and the little progress meter is like, okay, question 1 of 38. And you're like, oh God, I'm not doing this, I'm out. So ours is going to be very different. Ours is going to be like, here's our 1 minute survey, no typing required. That's it, right? So it's kind of an upfront contract where they know what they're getting into. It's like, all right, I can commit to a minute, right? And it's just multiple choice or yes, no's and that sort of thing. At the end, there's a comment field if you want to leave additional, but it's not required. So the private surveys are really, really important. And for employers, I mean, you can put like scannable, tappable, all kinds of stuff that we provide, but you can do it yourself in the break room. Like we're just non-customer facing areas, right? You can send out direct links via email. Hey, we just want you to take our little survey, right? And you can do these things, on a regular basis, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is, and you can change your topics. But that stuff is super, super helpful especially for big businesses that need to hire a lot.
Yeah. When is timing? So after a sale, after a delivery of a service, do you have any statistics on that? Is because sometimes I get leave a review, Amazon and things that I bought online, not even Amazon. I've gotten an email where it's like, leave a review and I didn't even get the product yet. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that. Yeah. Is time, talk about timing of reviews, the importance of that.
Yeah. So, I think there's 2 buckets here. I mean, one would be like reviewing a product, right? And then another would be reviewing a business, right? So kind of 2 different things, but I'll speak on reviewing businesses, right? Timing is, obviously very important because you think of the customer cycle for any business, they're going to be most joyful usually when they've completed the transaction, right? Because in their mind, you had to pass a lot of tests for them to trust you, to purchase from you or do business with you. So that's probably the peak moment where you could, offer an invitation to leave a review because they're reviewing essentially the transaction that they approved with their purchase. So that's a good time, right? So if you give them an opportunity and don't think you're overdoing it, right? So if you ask them, if you are a customer-facing business and you can ask them right on the spot, hey, would you mind helping me, right? Leave me a review and make it personal. Especially if it's a salesperson, obviously it's human nature to want to help each other. Hey, you just helped me get a good deal. I'll help you leaving your review. So tap, scan, whatever method you choose. Follow up after that. If they didn't do it right there, if they weren't comfortable, follow up with a text if they've opted in. Follow up with an email from your CRM, and then ask them over and over again, right? And even if they left you a public review, you can follow up with private feedback afterward as well, right? If they choose not to engage, that's fine, but don't think you're asking too much because it's that important, right? So you want to make sure that you have every opportunity. But to your point about timing, that the early moments are the most pivotal, right? Because obviously, if you give it time, the likelihood of somebody leaving a review, a couple of days, a week, or a month is low. And if you've had time, maybe it was a decaying relationship, then they might be like, oh yeah, I will leave your review. This didn't do what you said it was going to do. Then you run into that, right? So I would say, yeah, timing is very important. Try to get it up front as soon as possible when the transaction occurs. It's definitely going to help.
All right, that's good advice. All right, let's talk about, we can't go an episode without talking about AI. So how is AI affected reviews, and what do you see, how are you using it with the platform, and how do you see AI having an effect? When I say AI, I mean we're using ChatGPT and other platforms to help us with search results, to help us research, to help us. Is that a factor now already?
Massively. Already, yeah, big time. So as we think of it this way, right? So if a business has 500 or 1,000 reviews, literally no one will read them all, but AI will in a few milliseconds, right? So if you were to actually try to read for yourself all of those reviews, it would take hours, right? AI can do it in just an instant, right? So what we use AI for, and really what Google is using AI for, is to analyze sentiment. So they're analyzing sentiment that exists all over the web from their own platform, which obviously they have all that data, but then they can actually index other sites that are getting reviews, right? They can bring in sentiment from Facebook and Yelp and our own platform, and they can compile all of that, and then they spit it right out at the top in their little AI overview box. So that's AI in action, right? So go ahead and search right now. You can just say, what are people saying about business X, business Y, whatever it is, and you'll see right at the top. And then they provide little links, and it'll show you where they're pulling that data from, right? So kind of a good way to really address this for your own business is put your own reviews on your website, right? So why that's important is that you're bringing all of that relevant data, and our AI optimizes all of the responses for citations. You're bringing all of that relevant data onto your own reputation page on your own website. So whatever your business XYZ/reviews, like you want that page, and you want to pipe in all of your reviews and your responses into that page, right? Massive, massive relevance. In fact, when you do that and you have these things in place, when you look in the AI overview on Google and you say, what are people saying about my business? You're going to see that link, number one, for the most highly relevant content that Google is finding, right? So that's just step one of why AI is important. Another way that we're using AI is for our own sentiment analysis, what I just talked about. So on an executive level, again, if you're a larger business with many locations, are you going to read every single review that comes in, or do you just kind of want the overview that, you know? And what our AI will do is analyze all of the sentiment that's coming in daily, hourly, whatever that is. It'll scan for compliance terms. So if you're in a regulated industry and you have it scanning for things like discrimination or this and that, it'll flag those things and send notifications to key personnel that might deal with those issues. So you can address, so nothing will fall through the cracks, right? So AI is very good at that. Also, for what I spoke of before, when people don't respond to negative reviews and they say, well, I just don't know what to say, our AI will offer a lot of really thoughtful suggestions, and you can choose your brand tone in our platform, which is interesting. So you can use AI to help you craft responses to good, mediocre, and poor reviews. And you can choose your brand tone, and the AI will basically rewrite it. So if you want to be strictly professional, or you want to be a little more casual or a little funny, you can do it. And if you don't like what it said, just hit refresh. It'll give you a whole new series. And of course, you can edit them and customize them as you will. But it's very helpful for you to put content up there and a response up there that is adding relevancy with the correct citations that Google really wants to see, right? Business names, locations, all that sort of thing. So AI is used on our end, and it's used on the customer-facing end. So yeah, massively important, and it's only becoming more important.
Yeah, so I would imagine that when you're looking at the platform and looking at the algorithms and looking at the space as a whole, you're putting some heavy emphasis on that into how you're innovating. So is there anything you can share on, because this has been great. Like there's so many great tips here. If you haven't been jotting these down, we'll summarize them for you on agencybalance.com. So just go there, copy and paste these. And even if you're not in charge of this, send this to whoever's in charge of this in your company. But can you share anything about what's next? Like things that you're forward seeing already that you're having to make adjustments in the platform? Anything, that you can share of kind of like that's, I don't know.
Yeah, obviously, we're just kind of at the forefront of all of this. We've seen, like I said in the beginning, the impact that it has on everything that we did as an agency with our clients. And I would hope that, the people involved in the agencies that are, watching this would take a deep look at all of their clients. And, if it's B2B, some industries, customer-facing public reviews aren't as important, but maybe the employee reviews are really important. Maybe private feedback and surveys and things like that are more important. And that's all a component of reputation, right? So we're not just advocates of getting public reviews. Right? That's like kind of a small part of what we do, although it's an important part. We just believe holistically, like have a strategy. And one of the big misconceptions that we hear a lot is that, when we talk to marketing officers and things like that, they're just, it's going to create a lot more work for my team. We're overworked and, we have to do all this. In many ways, this is going to be less work for your team, right? So you're going to look like a hero because you're going to be improving the reputation, which has an impact on ads and conversions and all those things that matter. And a lot of it's automated, right? So a lot of what we do, the invitation process can be automated right through a CRM where you're sending links for people. That doesn't have to require any work. The responding with AI is very, very simple. The feedback and the surveys and the analysis, it's not extra work. It's forward. I would say, have a plan now, right? Start talking to people about how to implement, how to get those reviews on your website if you're a public-facing business. I would say that would be something I'd want to do within the next 3 months. Like get that done. Like that is of utmost importance. It will affect all search results. Massive impact. So don't sleep on that one. That's important. But something that we are doing, and I can kind of tease some cool things that we are doing, is we really are big believers in self-promotion, right? Humble brag, right? When you do a good job, don't keep it a secret. Like use that for marketing, right? So our platform is going to basically distill great sentiment, featured reviews and content, and then AI will generate graphics and cool things that you can use anywhere on your website, on digital ads, on billboards, or wherever you want to put it. It'll frame it up. It'll make it look beautiful. You can share it on your socials right through our dashboard. So that's pretty cool, and that's coming soon.
Yeah. Well, so while you were talking about that, I couldn't help to go back and I did an AI overview here. I'll take a screenshot of this and post it up on this episode. So I said, give me a summary or reviews of Nike. I'm wearing my Air Maxes today. I'm getting into my spring colors already. It said reviews of Nike generally praise their innovative designs, stylish aesthetic, and strong brand image. I agree with all that. But what was really cool about this, and why I'm gonna circle back to why I think this is important. It gives positive and negative aspects. Oh, yeah. So the AI overview broke it down into high quality design, brand recognition, variety of styles, and then the negative aspects, which I think these are great. So I guess these are over 10,000 reviews. It did it in milliseconds. Yeah. Price point. Some customers find Nike products to be relatively expensive than compared to other brands. Yeah, every fashion sneaker is expensive now. Sizing inconsistency. I agree with that because there's I'm wearing Air Maxes today. They're absolutely different than Jordans versus any. So yeah, sizing issues, right? Depending on where they're made. And then customer service concern. Some users report challenges with returns or customer support with dealing defective products. So you're exactly spot on. And obviously I just picked a huge brand here.
Sure. That's a great exercise. I'd say anybody watching, go through your client roster and ask Google's AI to say, what are people thinking about this business or that business? And you're going to see it, right? So unless you have a lot of really positive reviews to offset, because they're going to find them, right? Like in one of my presentations, I was just uncovering all the skeletons in your closet, Google's AI overview. They're going to find the negative. So you really need a big base of positive to offset that and lead with the results. So one little thing, just a little exercise fun thing that you can do is if you pop open Google Maps, there's a little, what it says results at the top, it defaults to relevance, right? It does not default to distance. And there's a reason for that, right? If you click on the little eye on Google Maps, it actually tells you the methodology for why they recommend things they do. It's there, it's hiding in plain sight. Nobody even looks at it. But it's telling you these map results. Let's see if you're looking it up, you can see if I remember it correctly. It'll say these map results are showing businesses based on 3 factors: prominence, relevance, and distance are the three factors that it uses. Distance is number 3. So think of it. Google Maps primarily is to help you find stuff, right? I want to go here. I want to, and 2 of the 3 most important factors that it uses to recommend are prominence, relevance, and distance. So if you are right next door to a really crappy rated business, you're probably not even going to see them as the closest search. It's going to show you the better one, alternative, that's maybe a mile away or 2 miles away. So that's how important this stuff is. It's all there for you. It's hiding in plain sight. They're telling you the roadmap to optimize the organic results for your customers, your clients. So it's there, right? So you know what to do. You know why you need to do it. It's just a matter of doing it. And there's great partners that can help you do all this stuff rather than doing it on your own, because there's a lot to know, right? And it's good to have a tech partner that knows all of this.
Yeah, I was doing that too. You're spot on. The lower review, actually the lower review came up before it was a 4.0 versus a 4.1. The 4.1 was actually shorter distance and it had a better review, but it sent me to the other one. But I don't know, the gas is more expensive than me.
Yeah,
it wants me to buy more of the gas.
Yeah, and the other thing is it won't always show the highest rated at the top because it's looking, again, for relevance, right? So if somebody's got a 5.0 but 3 reviews, the 4.7 with 100 reviews will always show up above, always, because of the base of information Google has to deal with. They're going to say this is a way more relevant business. They got more reviews, right? Quality, volume, and recency, 3 things. Remember those. Quality obviously speaks for itself, volume, and then recency. If you've got old reviews and you don't have a plan to get new, fresh ones, less relevant, so they're less impactful than they should be. So have a plan, get a lot of them, and get good ones.
Yeah, and to put a bow on what we're talking about here, this is your research, right? There's so many times where I hear like, well, we don't even know where to start, or like, we don't know what's going on, or we don't understand why there's a problem in customer service. You have your data right here. Yeah. It's right here for you. Just start. If you can't read your 10,000 reviews, use AI to go in there and summarize it for you. And then you need to put this into your action plan. You need to start addressing these things, or you're just going to keep doing having the same problems over and over and over again. So this is absolutely gold, Jason. How do they take a look at the platform? Can they try this? Talk to me about that. I want to make sure that everybody knows how to find this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got some great agency programs that are wonderful, and we just launched our new agency dashboard, which is a great tool. If you've got anywhere from just a handful of clients to hundreds of clients, if you want them active and using our tools, you can manage it all from one dashboard. You can see the reviews and feedback and private surveys for all of your clients. You can engage on their behalf if they want you to do that, and manage all of this, right? So right from our tool, it's reviewsup.com is our platform. And I would just encourage anybody, just go on the little demo link and book a time, and then we can talk about all the agency programs that we have available.
Amazing. We'll get that linked up as well on agencybalance.com. Absolutely, definitely check this out if you haven't. Are you open for some bonus coverage?
Let's do it.
Do some bonus coverage. All right. So this is going to be a first for Agency Balance. So if you're listening right now and you want to see this firsthand, this is the point where you quit out of Apple, you quit out of Spotify, and jump onto our YouTube channel. Jason is going to graciously take us through a little sneak peek of some of the things that we've been talking about here and bring it to life visually. So now's the time to hop out.
All right, so welcome to Overtime. And what I want to do here is just kind of show some real-world examples of the impact that reputation and reviews have on just an everyday sort of business, right? So just imagine any business category. This applies to all of them. My stomach was growling while we were doing this call. It's almost lunchtime. So what I did was I just typed in, something very common, best Chinese food near me, right? So what you can see here in the results is that it's defaulting to relevance, right? And it's something we talked about. It's not defaulting to distance. And the reason why is because it's trying to deliver a better outcome for the search results, right? So as you can see here, there's a place right down the street. has 840 reviews, and we talked about Strive for 4.5. So I'm in a good place. Hey, 4.5, 840 reviews. I feel pretty good about that. Now, there's another place that's not far. They've got a little higher review, right? They've got a 4.6 average score, but they've only got about a quarter of the volume, right? So we talked about 3 factors, and they were volume, quality, and recency. So that is the magic formula to try to hijack these results in your favor. So a lot of volume, a good score, and a lot of recency. So if I clicked on that, I would see the actual reviews that they're getting, and I could sort by newest. And you can see 5 days ago, they just got another one. Best wonton soup and noodles around. So I might be going there for wonton soup later. But let me show you the Google AI overview. Okay, so this is interesting. Now, if you recall, the restaurant's name was Hunan Springs. Okay, so if I want to do a deeper dive and get community sentiment on that, I'm going to type in something like this. What are people saying about Hunan Springs? I really want to know. So what you're going to see is the AI overview kick in, and it's going to say, look at this, and it's giving you the links to where it's finding this information. Now, keep in mind, this is above all other content on Google, okay? This is the lead of the search. This is A+ real estate here. I have to go all the way down here to find even more content, right? And again, it's pulling in review content, right? So up top, Google is bringing a synopsis, and it's telling you where it's finding this information. So if you are optimizing your reputation strategy and getting reviews and getting volume and getting recency, you are going to show up very, very highly and with great content. If you don't provide it content and your customers are leaving reviews by chance, there's a high probability that there's going to be a lot of negative content that emerges when people do this, right? And that will show up very, very highly. So in order to have people see what you want them to see right at the top, have a strategy, use a tech partner, and then you will see great results from this. If you want to learn more about what we do, certainly visit us, reviewsup.com, and you can schedule demos right on here. We've got some wonderful agency partnerships, white labeled solutions, things like that for agencies of any size, whether it's just single clients or big enterprise accounts. All kinds of different plans. There's some great information on here. So take a minute, jump on here. We talk, give you some best practices for employee reviews and private feedback as well as the public stuff. All of our different plans are available. Some great features, great tips in our blog section. You can choose different categories, how to integrate your CRM with a reputation strategy, and a lot of other things. So jump on here, employee reviews. You can see there's a good library of content in here. So head on over to Reviews Up, schedule a call on my calendar, and we can talk about our partnerships or just brainstorm. If you have a client you're having some trouble with, I'm happy to help and give you some guidance on that too. So I'd love to have some conversations on that, and I encourage everybody to visit the site and schedule a demo.
Subscribe to the podcast at agencybalance.com, Apple, YouTube, or Spotify.